how's it going? We're going to talk about playing piano and some of the things that I think about when I'm playing piano and how to go from not knowing piano to knowing piano and being able to play on a worship team specifically. I'm not talking about how to play classical or jazz or blues or any of those things really, but just the fundamentals to get started on how to play piano. I think one of the problems, there is a lot of theory on piano, like music theory and all that stuff that's going on. And that stuff's important, and we kind of learn that as we go. How it kind of mathematically works in music, how things are laid out in music. But I want to stress right here at the beginning, when I play piano, I am not thinking of theory. I'm not thinking of how chords are made up or stacking thirds or any of these things. Those are not going through my mind. What I see is I see shapes. I'm in a particular key and I see shapes, and those shapes have like colors, musical colors to them and emotion to them, and that is what I'm playing. And you're like, okay, that's you're being weird. That's kind of weird, and I probably am. But for guitar players, it's about the same. You know, I'm not thinking necessarily when I'm playing guitar and I'm playing a G chord, I'm not necessarily thinking G, B, D, you know, I'm the notes that make up that chord. I play a G chord, I know how it's going to sound. And I go to a C chord or a D chord or an E minor seventh, and I play these chords knowing what they're going to sound like, but I see the shapes of the chords. And I know how they sound, I know the color that they're bringing way more than I'm thinking about, okay, well, it's a first, a flatted third, a fifth, and a seventh, a dominant seventh, or something like that. I know those things, but that's not where my brain is. And so that's what we're going to kind of tackle is how we get what we need to know, how we start building up the shape library, and we'll kind of address some of the theory stuff as we go. The first thing that I want you to do is to learn scales, just the scales. Now, that sounds like a big, daunting task. I don't want you to memorize all the scales. I do eventually, but pretend like I didn't say that last part. I want you to learn 5 scales, 5 major scales, and we'll remember them by this word called caged, C-A-G-E-D. Again, I take that from the guitar. I'll talk about this later, but those are, if you think about on the guitar, those are the typical shapes that you learn of the major chords on the guitar. The C shape, the A shape, the G shape, the E shape, and the D shape. You know, and we got bar chords that are based on these chords, but those are your basic open chords on the guitar. And so we're borrowing that. And those are the scales that I want you to learn, because quite honestly, most of the worship songs that we're going to play, we can play in one of those 5 keys. So that's what we're going. The first one is the C scale. Now, generally, I would start and I would go with the C scale, and I'd be, okay, C scale is whole step, half step, whole step, whole step, whole step, half step. But there's not one time when I'm playing that I'm thinking about whole step, half step, whole step, half step. It's, yeah, that's the formula. It turns out that the formula. But I don't even want you to learn it from the formula. I just want you to memorize it. So the C scale that we're playing is all white notes. It starts on a C. And C is, you got the 2 black notes. There's a set of 2 black notes. There's a set of 3 black notes. C is right on the, right to the left of the sets of 2 black notes. C, C, C. And then we just go up the white notes. And back down. So that's what it looks like. And I want you to say the notes as you're playing them. C, D, E, F, G, A, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. The tendency here is to try and go too fast. Slow down, play them right. Or to start trying to sing them. C, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. This is not vocal class. You don't need to sing them. You can just say them. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Some people get really concerned with trying to hold tennis balls or something with the shape of their hand, or play the first three notes and then under and all that. I don't care about anything on that. I just want you to play the scale and have it in your head, so that if I ask you a C scale, you can go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. If I ask you to play it. So there is the C of caged. C scale. Next one is A. A has 3 sharps. So we're going to go out of order here, just as far as caged, and we're going to go make it a little bit easier to memorize. So we're going to actually go to G next, which is G in caged. And all we're going to do is add 1 sharp, and it's F sharp. F sharp is on the group of the 3. It's the first of the group of the 3. Why do we start on the group of the 3? It works out that way, but think about it like this, is we're going to eventually add all the sharps in here, so we're going to work our way through the group of the 3 and the group of the 2. There's more of the 3, so we might as well start on the 3. There's an F sharp. We're going to start on a G note. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, and back down. G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. Okay, that's it. Again, I want you to say the notes as you're doing them. G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. I want you to say it without playing it. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. Notice that as I'm doing any of these scales, every note gets said at least once. And there's 7 notes. You know, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? 7 notes. And every scale has every note, but it has it only once. There's no scale that has F and F sharp. Now, there is scales that have this note and this note, and we'll talk about that later. But you're going to say every note name once. You know, I teach it like with kids a lot of times, musical alphabet, right? We have our ABCs, and it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. In music, it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 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 I think you only need to do that once in your life, but just have that pattern down in your head forever. All right, so G scale again. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G. Now we're going to go to the D scale. It's the last one in cage, C, A, G, E, D. We're going to start on the D note. We have the F sharp again, and now we're going to add the C sharp. C sharp is the first one on the group of 2. So we did the first one in the group of 3. Now we're going to do the first one in the group of 2. And we're going to start on a D. Again, we say them. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, B, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. It is good to start working with both hands a little bit. You'll need them eventually. You'll need both hands eventually. So there it is, 2 sharps. So we started C. C had no sharps. We did G. It had 1 sharp. Now we're on D, and it has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. Again, I want you to say them as you're playing them, but I also want you to do them without playing. So D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. Going back down, D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. I picture these and say them when I'm learning scales on an instrument, or for jazz we have to use a bunch of different scales. I sit there in the car and I picture and I visualize the notes and say them. I've learned most of the scales in my life while driving my car and just doing it in my head. I don't know if that makes me a bad driver or not, but that's how I've learned them. Next, we're going to go to the A scale, and guess what? It's got 3 sharps. And we're going to hit the F sharp one again. We're going to do the C sharp, and we're going to add the next one from the group of 3, and that's the G sharp. So now it's A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. And back down, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, A. And then we're going to go to E. The E is again, we're just adding a sharp. And so we got F sharp, we have C sharp, G sharp. Now we're going to add the second one from the group of 2. We're just getting right through this. That's D sharp. So E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, E, D sharp, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. Again, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. That is all the scales that I want you to learn to start. But when I say that I want you to learn, I want them in the order that I just did them. It's following the circle of fifths. Circle of fifths can be valuable or whatever, but there's no magical mystery about the circle of fifths and stuff. And we memorize it, but it's just a circle of fifths. Again, I'm not sitting there when I'm playing music going, oh, the circle of fifths, the circle of fifths. No, I'm thinking I want it darker. I want it, happier. I'm thinking about colors when I'm thinking about music and shapes. Or I'm thinking about what is the singer singing. Those are the things that are going through my mind, not circle of fifths and, key signatures and all that kind of stuff. I know it, but that's not where my brain goes. So when I say that I want you to know them, I want it about this fast. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Don't stop. A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, G, F sharp, E, D, C, B, A, G, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, D, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, G sharp, F sharp, E, D, C sharp, B, A, E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E, D sharp, C sharp, B, A, G sharp, F sharp, E. Now eventually, there's only 12 of them. Only 12 major scales. Eventually we keep going all the way through and play them all. Right now, just the 5. Get those down, and then I also would like you to be able to say them. Same like I just played them, and just be able to go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D sharp, E. And just get it down to where it's just second nature. That's the scales. That's what we're starting. Worship team, that's where I want it to begin. There's a lot that builds off of that. Next, we go to the chords, and this is where we live for worship teams and a lot of time in rock and roll music. Now, what we're going to do, the way that the chords relate to the scales, is that if we take the C scale, which now we know inside and out, we take that and we start on the first note, we skip a note, we skip the D, we skip the F, and we have our chord, and this is a C chord. Then we go to the next note in our C scale. It's a D. We skip a note, we skip another note. It's a D minor. We go to the next note, E. We skip a note, we skip the next note. E minor. Try and use your thumb when you're playing these. We go to the next note, F. Skip a note, skip the next note. F major. Go to G, skip a note, skip the next note. G, G major. Okay, then we go to the next note, A. Skip a note, skip the next note. A minor. And each of those 5 scales, we're going to do that same pattern. It's called harmonizing the scale. I'm sure it's called a lot of other things too. It doesn't matter what we call it. It's just that we do it. And we're only going to do it for the first 6 notes of each scale. So we're on C, and then we go to a D minor, and then we go to an E minor, F major, G major, and then an A minor. Now, when I'm playing these, each one of these chords to me has a shape. I call these the snake ones, and it sounds juvenile or whatever, and yeah, I do use these when I'm teaching kids, but I don't know, this is how I think about them. So if it's juvenile, it's actually literally how I picture it. So it's a snake, it's crawling on the ground. In this case, it's a white snake, not the band. Okay, so not the band White Snake. Get that out of your head. But it's just crawling on the ground. All the notes right here on the floor. And so the C chord, the D minor, the E minor, the F major, the G major, and the A minor are my white chords. They're the White Snake chords. Okay? And so I have those shapes. It's a collection of chords, and they all look the same. So when you're practicing, we start with a key of C, play 4 per each one, nice and slow, so that the transition between the chords is as fast as you play the chords. What I mean by that is I don't want this. No, I want. That's our first key. Memorize the names. Okay, the next key is G. We do the same thing on G. It starts with, skip the notes, there it is. Now notice, we learned this G in the previous key. We had G major in the key of C. Great, that's wonderful. Now we go to the A, we do the skipping stuff, and we have an A minor. We also have that one. A minor we already knew. But now we go to this B note, and we skip a note, and we skip a note, but we don't have an F. No F in the key of G. It's an F sharp. So to me, that's a B minor chord, and this is a new one that we have to learn. To me, I call this a gazelle chord. I don't know why I chose a gazelle, but when I picture it, it's kind of got like, here's the gazelle's back, and then it has this horn sticking up over here, right? And so that black note to me looks like a gazelle horn coming up, and that's our first gazelle chord. You could pick something else if you want, but to me, it'll always be a gazelle. It's just the way it is. Then we have a C chord. C chord we learned from the key of C. It's the exactly same C major. Then we got a D, and again, in the key of C we had a D minor. In this key we have a D major, and it's got that F sharp in it again. And this is the first of what I call the camel chords. D, F sharp, A, because it has a hump in the middle of it. It's very creative. I really thought long and hard about these. But it's been this way for me for like 30 years, same animals. And then we have an E minor, which we already had from the key of C. So again, same exercise. I'd like you to say the chord on the first beat of each one. G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor. One thing that you'll notice I do on chords that have a black note and a white note, sometimes people will try and play them here at the edge and then stretch. Now just move your hand up to where it's comfortable, especially when we get into some of these notes, these chords, like that. Move your hand up to where it's easy to play them. Anyway, so that's key of G. Now we move on to the key of D. You'll notice that on major chords, a lot of times I won't say the major. If I just say a chord, like I say D, then it's a D major. Sometimes you'll also hear me call them triads because they have 3 notes, and there's major and minor triads. Just kind of an appendix. All right, key of D. D, we learned the D scale. It was D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D. D, C sharp, B, A, G, F sharp, E, D. So the first one we do is the D chord again. Camel. So we got that nice hump shape right there. And then we go to the E minor. We already know that. We've had the E minor now in our first 2, right? And then we have F sharp, because D, E, F sharp. We're doing the D scale. And we skip a note. And we skip another note. We have to skip up to C sharp, because the D scale. So there it is. To me, this is a bird chord. And we got quite a few of these bird chords because it looks like one of those birds that you draw. Kind of looks like a little bit of an M. And it's a bird chord. So I go camel, snake, bird, and then we go to G, which is back to the snake. And then we go to A, and that's another camel. And then we go to B minor, which is back to that gazelle. So, D, E minor, F sharp minor, G, A, B minor. Now you may have noticed a pattern that's occurring here. We did the key of C, and it was a major chord, a minor chord, a minor chord, a major chord, a major chord, a minor chord. And then when we went to the key of G, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. Then we went to the key of D, major, minor, keys will have that same pattern. It'll go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor. One major followed by two minors, and then two majors followed by one minor. All right, so we go to key of A. A we know, it's a camel. Then we go to the B minor. There's that gazelle for the third time. We go to C sharp minor. It's a new chord, but it's a bird. C sharp minor looks just like F sharp minor that we learned, but now it's our second bird. D we learned, it's a camel. E, it's a camel, and it looks just like D. So if we play D, we don't even have to change the shape of our hand. And then we end on F sharp minor, which is back to that bird again, shape. So the key of A is a lot of birds and camels. With one little gazelle in there, which is not a chord that we use as much in that key, unless we're playing jazz. All right, so let's go through it. A, B minor, C sharp minor, D, E, F sharp minor. And so now we have the key of A. And we're memorizing these chords and we're memorizing the shapes. Now we go to the key of E. Remember, E had 4 sharps. All right, and so we do the same thing. E we learned, it's a camel. F sharp minor, we learned, it's a bird. G sharp minor is the next one, and it's another bird. So I got 2 birds in a row. I killed 2 birds with 1 stone. Oh, that's terrible. So camel, bird, bird, camel. Now we have B. And B to me is like a grazing cow or something, right? So we got this shape of it. It looks like an animal. Here's its back, and then its head's down here eating grass. I'm sure there's something better. That's what I see. I see the back of it with the head down here. And then we got C sharp minor. And so in the key of E, I kind of like the key of E on piano because all the minors have the same shape. They're all birds. F sharp minor, G sharp minor, C sharp minor. And the only funny one is this B. So E, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A, B, C sharp minor. So that's it as far as what I want you to learn to start off into this dangerous new world of keyboard playing. We learn the scales, we learn these caged scales. Okay, and we're always going in that order. That's not the caged order, but it's, you know, C, G, D, A, E, circle of 5th order. So we learn the scales first, and then we go through and we learn our chords. And so I recommend doing them at least once, that whole thing every day, and maybe even twice, because our brain needs to reset, and it's just how our brain learns. You won't learn all these in one sitting. It's a repeating activity, and then our brain's like, oh, you want me to remember that. So do these every day. Make sure to also do them without playing and saying your scales every day. The next step from there will be to just add the bass note on each one of these chords. So we can go. And that's it. That is level 1 worship piano playing, and in a nutshell. Get that down, and then we'll go ahead and take those things and build on them and actually start using them in actual songs and stuff. But there's a whole lot that you can do with just that material right there. And that is a lot of what's going on in my head, no matter what, if I'm... built around the same things, and so we'll go from there. And then even as we're talking about, like, just playing pads, still build on the same things. So that's all we have for today, and we'll go ahead and we'll have some more lessons similar to this one in the future. Thanks a lot. Hope you enjoyed it.